Hi, everybody. It's Craig Morgan with Blended Together Forever, and I've got a friend, Bryan Donoho, on our recording today, and I'm fired up about getting him to share his story. I first met Bryan about a year and a half, 2 years ago through a mutual friend, actually his uncle, and got to meet Sam. We did an appointment. We were visiting about the line of work that I'm in on my day job. But what hit me so impactful was to hear his story. And Bryan is so transparent. I just knew then we had to capture his message and put it out there for our nonprofit. To give you just a few points about Bryan that I'll let him share, uh, Bryan has been an addict. He was very transparent with me. He says, I had multiple uh, drug possessions. He's been very open. But what's so cool is what he's done from that past and what he's doing today to reach other addicts, to get people help. He's created his own YouTube channel. He's got what's called the Dirt Bag Chronicles. I can't wait to just let you share. So, Bryan, first of all, I guess just tell us about you and Sam, how y'all met. Let people get to know you first, then we'll dive into some of those other details.
Sounds good. Thank you for having me on, Craig. Yeah, we've been trying to make this happen for almost a couple years now, so I'm excited to be on your show. Um, well, first, my name is Bryan Donoho. I am a person in long-term recovery from addiction, alcoholism, and criminality. I have a long history of a lot of rebellion. I grew up in a very religious family, a religious home. Um, now I'm married. I've been out of prison for 3 years now, a little over 3 years. When I first got out, I met my wife, Sam, as you were saying earlier. We have a little girl. She's 15 months old. Um, I just Today I love life, man. I live in the moment and I share my experience to help others that struggle with the same thing that I've struggled with in the past, and I give people hope and I inspire them
Yeah.
that change is possible and that we don't have to be stuck in the misery our entire lives. That we can use that misery to help other people get through what they're struggling with.
I so applaud what you're doing. Like you said, I'm a big fan of what you're doing to make a difference with your life. I want to ask a couple questions. Why do people get stuck and not come out or come forward like you did? You didn't stay there. But the second, well, here, let me just do the first one. Why do you think people get stuck and don't come forward? Is it guilt? Is it shame? I mean, you talk.
Yeah, I think it has to do with all of that. Um, you know, in the addiction world, in recovery world, we use a word called stigma, and there's a lot of stigma inside addiction, outside of addiction, marriage, the church, in ourselves, and that stigma, it carries a lot of shame, it carries a lot of guilt. But as I've grown through my journey and still growing, I'm still in my journey. What I have learned is why people are stuck is because they are not in the present moment. They are inside of their head. They are inside of they're in the past or they're in the future, and they're not here enjoying
Yeah.
being a human being. They're in their mind, and so when you get stuck in your mind, our minds are that's what plays the tricks on us. That's what keeps us stuck in being miserable or in living hell.
Yep.
But once we can understand that we have no control over the future and we can't do anything or change the past, all we can do is live right here in this moment. We enter in heaven on earth. I mean, it's just very peaceful. That's where joy lives, and so I always encourage whoever I'm working with to be in the present moment because that is where the glory is.
I love that. Living in the present, not the past and not the future. And you don't have to be an alcoholic. You don't have to be a drug addict. I can know normal, sane people that have had to deal with none of that. They don't know how to live in the present. They're in the past or they're in the future.
Yeah.
So that's such a important point you shared. I want to ask you a couple questions. You said you grew up in a very religious home.
Yeah.
Religion screws up so many people. I hate religion in so many ways because I've seen the damage. Now, I don't know your exact story. Was that a good thing? Was that a bad thing? Was there anyway? Just tell us. Tell us. You said that piece. I'd like to hear what that means.
Yeah, so my grandfather, he was a minister, pastor, evangelist for the First Assemblies of God Church. Um, Very respected man inside of that denomination and church. My father, he was a non-denomination minister. He did a lot of street ministry, a lot of reach out to like families and things like that in the local community. He was a life coach, a motivational speaker, things like that. He was a DJ at a Christian radio station, and so I grew up, you know, understanding what the Christian identity of God was. Um, and there was under having that, being taught that, um, my perception of what God was very fearful. And I mean fearful in a damaging way. And so I would get in trouble. I would go to prison. I would sit there and I would read my Bible and I would pray how I was taught to pray and I say taught because I would model what everybody else was doing. And so to get to your question, I believe it was damaging to me because I was never able to really connect on a personal and genuine level with who I believe God was. And it took until this last trip. You know, I've been out of prison a little over 3 years now, and during those 2 years that I was inside of Arkansas Department of Corrections, I came across a book and it said the author said in there, he said, in order to learn something new, you have to forget everything you think you know. And
Yeah,
his name was Neil Donald Walsh. And reading his books and just like doing that, practicing that, and what I understand from that is that I had to get out of my mind. I had to become present in this moment, and I had to quit basing my relationship with God off of my past experiences because I was never able to move forward.
right.
And once I did that, I was able to connect. I was able uh, forgive myself and
Good.
let go of some of the guilt and the shame that I
Yeah,
had dealt with from the perception of what was going on in the Christian church.
yeah.
And so I let go of that. And now today I have a wonderful relationship with a God of my own understanding. And that was very pertinent to my healing and my journey. So I'm not like being negative towards the Christian religion. I believe it is a wonderful pathway for a lot of people. For me, I had to step outside of that and I had to start getting I had to know God, right?
Right.
And I couldn't do that with the past experiences that I had.
Well, knowing your story, and I wanted to go down that rabbit hole for a second, I know that many people have either been hurt, disillusioned, judged, condemned, whatever.
Mhm.
And there's some real deep wounds that need to be healed. And I'm sure the intentions are great from pastors and lay leaders, but as we all know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so I appreciate you sharing that piece because that's a tough one. But I wanted to go now today. Tell us about your day job. We were talking about what you do on that, and I'd love to for everybody to hear that.
Yeah, so I've made a lot of progress since I got out of the Department of Corrections in 2023. I've done a lot, and I don't know really how I've done it. I've just stayed focused and kept grinding, and I'm really got a go-getter attitude. I've got a lot of drive.
Yeah.
So. I'm gonna start from there and kind of explain how my career has gotten to the point where it was, because today I have a dream job. You know, it's just absolutely incredible. Um, but so for me to get out of prison and to be eligible for parole, I had to go through a program called reentry. And this is where I get to move out of the penitentiary, and I went to a program, um, and I got a job, and I had to wear an ankle monitor, and there was a lot of rules, right? Um, and so I graduated that program, and I got to cut my ankle monitor off, and I was free. You know, I'm still on paper, but I was free. And the mentors that were there at that program, they encouraged me to become a peer recovery support specialist. So I went and I did my training, and then what they did is they hired me to be the peer recovery support specialist at that same program and work with the men inside of the prison, which is incredible because I was the first peer recovery support specialist to ever work inside of a ADC reentry facility. So that was big, and that was only a few months after I graduated the program. So I was really able to help those men that were coming through there and really be on their level. So I worked there for a few months, for about a half a year, and then I left that job, and shortly after that, I became a director of an all men's treatment facility at a place called Covenant Recovery. Remind you, I had never worked in a clinical treatment field.
Okay.
Had no understanding of it. I just had my life experience. And when I did the interview, um, I told the CEO and the clinical director, I said, "Hey, I don't qualify to do this position." And the CEO looked at me and said, "Oh, yes, you do. You might not qualify on paper, but you have everything that we need."
Absolutely.
And so I took the position, and I didn't scam my way into it. I didn't lie to get into it. I was very honest. I was upfront. I was truthful, and they believed in me. They saw something that I didn't see in myself. And when I got into that program, there was, I mean, it was. He told me, he said, "You can't do any worse than what we have right now." And I took that as a challenge, you know, like not a challenge that I could make it worse, that a challenge that I could build something
Right.
from absolutely nothing. And so when I go in there, you know, I'm helping men, which I can relate with, and I'm helping a demographic that I can relate with. And so I created a curriculum for these men, and it was a remarkable man curriculum.
That's
And
incredible.
so for me, my pathway into becoming who I am today was understanding what that identity was. I had to really be honest with the identity that I was in my addiction. And then I had to create a new identity as the man that I wanted to be, right?
Yeah.
And I defined that. And so I helped these men define what a remarkable man was. And I worked there for 2 years, a little over 2 years. And I improved the place like significantly. When I got there, we were at like 5 people. By the time I left, they were telling me I couldn't house as many people as I had, as many as men as I had, and so we just attracted so many men into this program, and I worked really close with the drug court team in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and so what's significant about that part is that this is the same judge and the same prosecuting attorney that sent me to prison.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh,
I get to sit
wow.
on their team now, and I and
Wow.
and they respect my input,
Wow.
my
Of course.
opinion. They see the progress that I've made in my life, and they ask me, they say, "Hey, what do you think we should do about this guy?" And so
Wow.
the roles have really just changed around, and I have to say it's because of this identity, this remarkable man definition that
Yeah.
I created for myself, and I wasn't going to allow myself to step outside of that definition. Um, and I hold myself accountable by doing that.
Yep.
So uh,
That's
this year in January, I got a phone call from the agency I work for today, called the Haven Detox. They just called me randomly and they say, "Hey, we've heard all about you. We would like to do an interview, blah, blah, blah." And I talked to them, and then at the end of the interview, they said, "Okay, what is it going to take to make you leave Covenant?" And so
wow.
I threw a number out there, and they said, "Okay, send me your resume." And not even like 2 minutes later, they said, "Hey, we'll give you everything that you asked for."
Wow.
And so today, my job is that my role, my position, it's called a business development representative,
Mhm.
and that's just a fancy word for uh, describing what I do. Is I help people get into treatment.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I travel around Arkansas, and I go meet hospitals and other agencies and transitional living houses and parole officers, probation officers, drug court teams, and I tell them about our services. I tell them about my story, and I make sure that I can be a resource for them to help, for me to help them. And then, if I'm not a good fit and I'm not a good agency for them, I have plenty of other resources. So I'm just a big resource hub to help people, men and women today, get their life back on track, help them get sober, help them get cleaned up, help them find jobs, help them get their families back. And it's just created so much purpose in
Yep.
my life.
I
Uh,
love it.
and it's so rewarding.
I can tell. We could have done this recording an hour, but we always try to keep it at 30 minutes. I'm looking at the clock and I got to ask two or three other quick questions. Um, you mentioned something when I first got to know you that really hit me about how great of a liar you were and how you can spot it, smell it, sense it in another person. Talk about that for just a second, if you would.
Yeah, so my past, it wasn't all bad.
Right.
Now, it had bad intention, right?
Sure.
Today, I believe my intention is pure,
Yep.
it's honest. But everything for 23 years, I was in active addiction, I was manipulative, I was always conning and scamming and doing things that weren't in the best interest of other people. Very selfish. And so today I'm able to use those skills, right?
Yep.
In order to use it as a good intention.
Yeah.
And I can I've been taught how to read people and understand behavior, psychology, and that went a lot with my sales background too,
Sure.
of just understanding how to direct a conversation or tell somebody that point them into a direction. Today I get to use that. And so I'm not necessarily manipulative today, but I know how to direct it
Persuasive.
into a positive direction from using the skills that I learned in my
Yeah,
dirt
yeah,
bag
yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah. That's so important because if you've got persuasion, sales, leadership type skills, you're right. You can direct people and manipulate them, or you can take the different road, like you said,
Yeah.
and it's about helping them get to where they need to be. That's so good.
Yeah.
Two other things. Um, for the person that's watching this right now, or the maybe the family member that is seeing this and goes, I got a son that needs to hear this, or whatever. What would you tell the current addict that maybe needs to happen, needs to take a next step? And then at the end, we'll ask how they can reach you and your contact info. But talk for the person that's either personally watching this or they got a family member. They know things got to change. Help them. What would you tell them, and what would you encourage them to do?
Keep fighting, right?
Good.
Keep focused. Understand that it's not over.
Good.
Understand that the hurt and the suffering in this season is just a season. The change is coming. It is absolutely possible. There are people out there that are willing, looking to help you. It's you're not alone. There's somebody like me just waiting there for you to come and have a conversation. They're looking for you to have the conversation.
Yeah.
You have to believe that God has a purpose for all of it. And
Yeah.
and the most prolific thing that I've ever read on anywhere was on a jail cell, and it said, "This too shall pass."
Oh, wow.
And so you have to understand that there's a plan. It's already destined. I had to understand that I'm not that powerful to control my destiny.
No, no,
That
no.
destiny is already pre-planned. The blueprint is already laid out before us, and it's all going to work out exactly how it should.
Yeah, that's so good because it'll keep people from having to defeat us. That this is just the current day, week.
Yeah,
This will pass, and it's just keep on and keep
yeah.
fighting. That's so good.
Keep pushing. The
How
only thing you're not allowed to do is give up.
exactly? That's so good. Um, your attitude inspires me. Your passion encourages me. You're making a huge difference. Like you said, just knowing what you told me, where you were and where you are today, you're being used in a powerful. How can people find you? I know you've got a YouTube channel. We talked about the Dirtbag Chronicles. You talked about your dream job with Haven and how can they find you if they want to reach out and get more info?
Yeah, so I give my cell phone number out. It's my cell phone. It
Perfect.
is 501-445-1017. You can call me, you can text me. I will answer. This phone is always going off, it's always on. And I'm available 24/7. If you're having questions or struggling or need resources, call or text me. I'm available. You can find my content on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. My podcasts are on every major podcast platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you want to find it. Now I am going to do a discretion on that. It is a very raw content. It has some vulgar language, but this is the way that I reach people, and I talk to people that are in the depths of their hell and in that season. And so I'm just giving you a little bit of discretion.
Oh, I look. I go to a Band of Brothers boot camp every year, and it's raw. And there's
Yeah,
some things that men can put on their big boy panties and handle it. So that's all right. I
yeah.
appreciate it. Bryan, let me hit the recording off, but thank you, thank you, thank you for what you're sharing. This is going to be so powerful. I can't wait for people to see it. Hold on.